Hey guys, you've made it to the final lesson, and it fits up with the final chapter of They Say, I Say, which is about metacommentary. Now, this sounds like it's a kind of confusing topic, but it's actually pretty straightforward, and it's really, really useful when you're writing. So, They Say, I Say encourages you to think of your text as actually being two texts joined at the hip. You've got your main text in which you're giving information, and then you've got your metacommentary in which you are basically providing additional information about the information you've already given. You're adding further elaboration and explanation. So your first text explains the topic. The second text explains your explanation. First text is about the issue. Second text is about your writing. So let me make that a little more clear. The things that you're attempting to do with this meta-commentary are elaborate and explain. So all the time you'll bring something up. When you bring something into your paper that's important, it's usually not enough to just mention it once and then move on. Usually what you want to do is provide further examples or go into more detail about something or offer further explanation or relate it to things that are similar in topic. Any of these ideas where you're taking what you've already written and adding more to help people understand it better, these things all count as meta-commentary. It can also be useful to make sure you avoid misinterpretation. If you offer a controversial or confusing claim, it's useful to use meta-commentary to make sure people don't read it wrong. You can go back in and say, now don't get me wrong, here's what I mean. That's perfectly fine. One more key thing about meta-commentary is that it makes your paper longer. Anytime you go back in to add meta-commentary, extra information about something you've already said, it makes the paper longer while actually making it stronger as well. Say you've got 4 pages. You have to write 5 to 7 pages. What a lot of you will be tempted to do is just start BSing and repeating yourself. This is not an effective way to get to your page count. Professors can tell when you're BSing, they get just as bored reading it as you do writing it, and they're probably going to end up giving you a lower grade. Same with the person who's reading your proposal. If they get tired of reading your BS, they're not going to want to buy your proposal. So rather than just BSing until you hit the page limit, go back through and offer further elaboration and explanation in the form of meta-commentary, and that'll give you the length you need. Here are some times you might use meta-commentary. We mentioned warding off potential misunderstandings. Don't get me wrong, here's what I mean. Alerting readers to an elaboration of a previous idea. If you say something like, let me give you another example. If you'll remember in the Bjorn Lomborg article, Mr. Gore, your solution to global warming is wrong, he a lot of times gives you an example with some statistics and then puts it another way. Dollars and cents, people saved versus people lost, things like that. He provides additional elaboration so that we understand exactly what he's trying to say. Providing a roadmap to the text. Sometimes if you're covering a lot of stuff, it's useful to say, now I'm going to discuss this. From here, we move to the idea of. Or even as something as simple as saying, the first step of my proposal is, next, we will do this. Those things can provide a roadmap and act as a form of meta-commentary. Moving from a general claim to a more specific claim is another instance in where having some guidance from you can help us understand it. Same thing with indicating levels of importance. If you want to move more specifically to things that are maybe less important, you can make it clear that you're focusing more now on details rather than the broader big picture. When it comes to addressing naysayers, it's a good idea to bring your voice in, saying things like, some may disagree with me. Joe Smith, for example, this is a form of meta-commentary, showing us that you are addressing people who disagree before you begin to respond to them. And then when you get toward your conclusion, it's a good idea to use some meta-commentary to draw them toward the general point, toward the thesis that you're trying to make. So think of yourself as a tour guide. A tour guide doesn't just walk through a house and point at things and tell you what they are. He explains what the things are, what they're used for, what they have to do with each other, and how the things relate to the room and how the rooms flow into each other. You are the tour guide for this paper. Use meta-commentary to make sure that your audience always knows where they are, what they're reading, and understands what you're trying to accomplish. Your last secret word is galaxy, and that's the end. If you have any questions, just email me.